A term that I often hear about living in the rural area is rural disconnect. And basically it means you don't feel connected to the outer world and the people in the cities. And like, there's a lot of good things that do happen in the cities in my personal opinion. But I also see a lot of corruption going on in the city, a lot of protesting and a lot of killing of unjust police officers, and a lot of police officers being accused of crimes that they did not commit, which generally does not happen in the country. So this is why I honestly prefer living in the country, especially with a disability. A lot of times I think people tend to develop negative attitudes when they live in the city, partially because they have difficulty competing fiscally in such a competitive market. But the truth is, if you move in a rural area, and you might feel a little bit of rural disconnect. However, it's not quite as competitive, and fiscally or financially it's easier to get ahead because you're not constantly being bombarded with social pressure to go buy this and buy that. So that makes it somewhat easier and simpler to have a financially successful life and be able to provide for yourself and your family without government assistance, which I think is very important. And one thing one of my favorite college professors told me in college was, the market will find out how successful you are. And I know what he meant. He meant that if you're not a productive citizen, the market will spit you out and you're laid back. You might fit in well in a rural area. But I just want to tell you, there is a little bit of rural disconnect. You don't always feel connected with everything going on. It might be a little more difficult to make friends. However, you definitely can have a family and have that sort of lifestyle. And I think it definitely is easier to raise a family without a doubt, because you don't have all this gangster presence in a rural area that you would in a suburban or urban area that puts negative pressure on your children. I've heard people say, oh, everybody knows everybody in a rural area. Well, I mean, it is true, you kind of feel that way, but it's not true, because there's people that I don't know. I mean, there's people around that live right around the corner from where I do, and I have no idea who they are. I've never seen them, and the truth, they probably just don't come out, or paths just don't cross. And I'm sure that happens in the city. So I mean, it's not like everybody knows everybody, and you can drive easily to the city, but I'm saying that it definitely, without a doubt, is easier to save money in the rural area, which can make life a little bit easier if you're not the most intelligent person and you just prefer like a laid-back lifestyle. And I'm sure you can find a good job in the rural area, as long as it's not way too far out in the middle of nowhere. But I mean, if it's like Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, like those areas, you can for sure find a job within 30 minutes. I'm just saying that if you currently live in an urban area, you might want to consider moving to a rural area if you're having trouble meeting the bills and you just hate life, and you might want a lower paced life, and that might really help you, because I know I really enjoy it. and I have cerebral palsy, and I think it helps with that because I don't have to be as competitive, and it's hard for me to compete, especially with what I'm good at. I have developed a good financial position, and I think that's definitely because I live in a rural area. If I lived in an urban area and was constantly bombarded with things to buy and things to spend, I wouldn't be in this situation, guaranteed. Because I do eventually want to have a family and raise them to the best of my ability, and I think having money will be a firm start to that, and I'd like to raise them in a rural area.